The FTC is reportedly investigating whether proxy advisory firms, ISS and Glass Lewis, violated antitrust laws in how they influence shareholder votes as the Trump administration considers an executive order to curb the firm's power. For more on this story, let's bring in Paul Argenti. He is Dartmouth Tuck School of Business, a professor of corporate communications. And it's good to see you, Professor. Good morning.
Good to see you.
What's behind this in the real world? Do you think I can see it's multifaceted what we're talking about, and there's certain things that I had a big problem with, and that is, a person at, let's say, a BlackRock or a company that deals with ETFs, putting his or her own beliefs into the way that they vote on proxies for people that think they're just buying a passive investment. And I had a major problem with that. Is that what this is about, or does it go beyond that?
I think it goes beyond that, Joe. I think what's really going on here, and I assume most people understand, that these advisors stand in place of large asset managers who don't have time to vote on tens and tens of thousands of proposals that are coming up. So they have to vote on them. The ostensible issue here is antitrust, but the real issue behind it, I think, is more political and focused on how these firms have been voting, particularly on ESG. That's what's going on. And I think the Trump administration wants to limit the power of these firms. And in fact, there is some obvious issue around two firms controlling 90% of the proxy advisory market, and you never even heard of these firms before. Most people don't even know they exist or realize what role they play in shaping, how we think about the financial markets.
We've seen that it would be not a big surprise if the Trump administration did decide that certain, for lack of a better term, woke mandates, that they would have a problem with that. And it's not like it hasn't happened. I mean, there were plenty of times where climate issues that maybe half the country thinks it's important, the other half doesn't think it's important, and it definitely was emphasized by these firms. You had to comply with what they decided. As you said, the other S's, the E's, the S's, and the G's were all there.
Yeah, I think that is a problem. But, what are you going to do if you're a large asset management firm? You don't have time to focus on each and every one of these votes unless they take it in-house. And I don't think the issue is whether these two firms have too much power. They do. The question is, what do you do about that? How do you control it? And how do you try to make it a fair fight so that they're not pushing a particular political agenda? I think that's a legitimate question.
Hey, Paul, I'm curious where you land on this. So I am of the view that a BlackRock or a State Street or a whomever should be able to vote on behalf of the shareholders that effectively are giving up their vote for the most part because they don't actually look at these things or have the resources to figure it out. There are other people, including, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but my two co-hosts who feel that actually these are super passive investments. That effectively there should be no voting, or if they want to vote, they should vote, but the vote shouldn't be handed.
Well, I think it should be an opt-in process. I think it should be opt-in. I don't think the default should be that if I don't vote, they get my vote. Right. If I choose to hand over my vote to them, that's a different story.
And my view on this is that most people are not going to actually opt in, and therefore they're effectively handing their vote to management. That's the difference, I think, in the sort of debate here. My question to you is, what is the implication of that, and is that a good thing or a bad thing in your mind to allow these firms to vote on behalf in an opt-in or an opt-out or an automatically opted-in way for those people who ultimately don't vote themselves?
Yeah, I think it's a problem. I agree with you. I think there should be more control.
Which is a problem?
Sorry.
Yeah, which side are you taking?
I think that the asset managers should take a bigger role in this and have more understanding of what's going on and not allow this passive relationship to exist. But on the other hand, Evan, I'm sure you all realize this is a big problem trying to figure out how they would actually do that.
Wait, I'm sorry. I still don't understand exactly what you think, Paul. You think that the asset manager should be taking a more active role, or that they should not have the vote unless it's turned over to them?
I think they should have a more active role. I do.
So get it whether I want them or I agree with them or not. I have to hand over my vote to them if I don't physically vote it myself.
I think you have no choice. Like, I mean, do you have? You either have the option of voting yourself, right, or turning it over to the advisors. And in a real world where there's thousands and thousands of votes, they're going to end up relying on proxy advisors more than anything else. On the other hand, we could question whether that is something you could do yourself if you brought it in-house and had smart people working on this.
But Paul, I don't want to speak for Becky or Joe, but I think there is a community of people who think, I don't agree with it, but the view is these are passive investments, therefore you should go along with either you should vote yourself if you want to personally, or you should effectively go along with management as a passive, whatever, because you're just buying into the index.
No, I'm just saying if somebody else is going to get my vote, I should have to physically turn it over to them. It should be my choice to say, yeah, I trust you on this. You go ahead and figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that, okay, not this paternalistic view like you're too stupid, but we will take over for you.
That sounds like what you're saying, Professor. It's like you're saying, hey, if you're not going to do it, then give it. Right. These guys are a little bit better than you are.
What I'm saying is the practical reality is that Becky and Joe are super sophisticated in this. Most people are not going to hand over their vote or check some box because they won't know to check the box. And therefore, right, that's my view. I don't know where yours is. So.
Yeah, I think I'm more closer to your view than theirs on this one.
So having a woke, I mean, I looked at some of the people that have run these places, and some of them are really woke, Paul. And so if I don't stop them, I should just assume that they're going to vote whatever their opinions are on all these contentious issues. I should just sit back, and if I don't take it upon myself, I should assume that my shares are going to be used to vote in whatever their predilections are. That sounds ridiculous to me.
I mean, I think
just don't do anything. Just don't even vote. Abstain. Taxation without representation.
I mean, this is a tricky one, and that's why you guys are talking about it today. And I think, how it gets decided by the Trump administration matters a lot. But I think the way it is going to be decided is based on the politics, not on the actual issue, the antitrust issue, which is the more important issue.
Out of it.
But is your contention that corporations do need to be held to account, and as bad as these ISS or whoever you're talking, as bad as they might be, it's better than letting the corporations just do whatever they want and that's why these proxy issues are up for vote.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. But I think you're absolutely correct that sometimes it's going to lead you down a path that you probably don't want to go into. And what it means is you need to be transparent about what you actually believe and make sure that they're representing your point of view and that this is getting sorted out in a way that makes sense for your corporation.
Right, but Paul, here's the issue, and this is, again,
I would just never give them any of my money then.
I'll play the devil's advocate here. The point is, there are going to be lots of times where some of these guys may vote for you without you either knowing or appreciating these points. And the other piece of it is a lot of these funds are overseeing assets that you don't really get to select that they are your representative insofar as, it might be part of a 401k plan that was assigned to you by an employer or something else. This is not just, that you get to choose the asset manager that you love the most.
And I've never had a Vanguard or anybody ever ask me what I think as the shareholder we should be doing or inform me what they think either.
Yeah. I mean, if you and I were setting this up, we would do it differently. There's no question about that. But I don't think it should be sorted. We're conflating two issues here. Is there an issue, Joe, around the ESG voting that goes on here? Yes. Is there a potential antitrust issue here? Yes. But they are not the same thing. They're two different things. And both of those need to be dealt with. And I fear that the real interest here is political.
It could be diversity. And let's say you really fervently believe in diversity, and that's what you want. And then you get a manager who would never vote in favor of that. So suddenly everything that you feel, it could affect either side, the woke side or the non-woke side. But
exactly.
That's what I have a problem with.
Take the politics out of it.
Yeah.
Logically, it's a...
They shouldn't be able to put whatever their personal predilection is to a passive investment.
Unless I, as the passive investor, say, I want to opt into that.
I'm stupid. Go ahead.
I'm not going to take the time to look into this, and I trust you more than I trust the manager.
Right.
Yeah, which is what you do when you get those things in the mail, right? That's what most people do. You figure it out.
Right. And that's the issue.